We've been investors on a sustained basis in gold, particularly gold. First, we told the people, don't rush so fast into silver. Silver will go up later and harder, but the gold silver ratio is still a tiny bit high. We need it to technically break down so that it's now, we need the mania, but we still stack it as an investment. We're just talking in terms of trading. So we are stacking at an investment and trading. And right now the trade on gold, I'm sitting here and, I'm 6-digit sums up in figuring out how insiders work is where the real potential lies. Francis Hunt, a technical investor, says that gold did what was expected and that silver is now about to go off the charts. This is about a banking system that is meant to leave regular people behind. Now that you have your money, it's time to learn how to play the game. The sum of demand from both consumers and businesses. This makes a very strong case for silver going up in value. Some experts think it could reach $100 an ounce in the next few years, which is still less than the all-time high of $19, which is about $200 in today's dollars. Even though gold gets all the attention, silver has seen an even bigger percentage rise, hitting 14-year highs above $42 an ounce. This is a strong sign that the rare metals bull market is still going strong, as silver tends to make gold's move stronger when there is a strong trend. It was like a rich person putting a trip on a credit card when the US stopped using gold as a standard of exchange in 1971. After decades of less production and more debt, the system has hit a point where it can't be fixed. Francis Hunt says that we have too much debt right now and that the change that's coming will affect everyone. Several financial disasters, such as those in 2008, March 2020, and March 2023, have slowly eroded people's faith in that power. There are signs that a tipping point is about to be reached. The United States has the most debt of any country in history. The government owes $37 trillion and counting, and the interest on it costs $1 trillion a year, making it the biggest expense the US has. As a way to spread their reserve assets, central banks have been a major driver of global demand. According to the World Gold Council, they bought over 1,000 tons of gold in 2024, which was an unbelievable rate. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you never miss a time when truth meets the market. Now let's talk about Francis Hunt's sharp thoughts from his most recent interview. Let's start. It's important to ask yourself if you're hearing the right people. Pay attention to what this guy says. Look at him. He's wearing black glasses and a white shirt and telling you all these crazy things. By the way, there are actually a lot of opportunities in these places. That's the bad thing. People who don't understand what's going to happen are the only ones who will be cut. Out of the 5% that do, 4% will be insiders. You can be one of those 1% that knows how the insiders play the game and can see where things go and use the same tools they do in order to stay safe and get rich. Having debt is bad. We told everyone that their bills would go down. What's going on? The debt has gone down. For the long term, we told you about a TLT. For the long term, the debt keeps going down. Gold will go up, we told you. Our long-term investments have been in gold, especially gold. Early on, we told people not to jump into buying silver because it would go up more slowly and harder than gold. However, the gold to silver ratio is still, it's a little too high, and we had to break it down so that it's now mania, but we're still investing in it. We're talking about business, so we are selling and investing at the same time. And the gold trade right now, I'm sitting here knowing amounts to 6 figures in days. Also, it's easy money, but that's not what a nurse makes in 5 years. But who's willing to trade long gold for her? No one. And she's hurt. This is a very sad fact because she is doing something very useful and kind. She either doesn't know much about money or doesn't have anyone in her life who does. And that's a bad result because society needs good people like paramedics, nurses, and veterinarians. The most important thing for everyone to learn is that your money is your problem. Figure out how the hell the game works, pick the right guide, and listen and learn so you can also call BS. As an example, think back to 1971 when they stopped making gold. Everyone said the end of the world was sure to come. They let the dollar move freely, and everyone believed that it was good for the country because it had the biggest military and economy after World War II. Also, America was making a lot of things at that time. Even so, they were still making a lot of things. What happened next is, and they had a small amount of debt, you can say, I'll use my credit card, which is fine. You know, let's say that you and I are very thrifty and make $250,000 a year, but we spend $100,000 on our homes and way of life. Then I tell them to take a vacation and charge some of the cost to my credit card. It hasn't been bad behavior or harmful to my long-term well-being as long as I'm making that much money and everything. I can take a 20 grand vacation for 2 weeks. We can scuba dive and do other things. It looks like I'll be able to handle that. It's when my pay slowly drops from $250 to $200 to $150, and the cost of living rises from $150 to $175 to $200. Eventually, you end up with a situation like mine. I have multiple credit cards because my income is only $150 a month and my living costs are $225. I also roll over my personal loan every year and start over with a new bank, which adds to my debt. At some point, the shoe will drop. It's easy to see that things are getting better. It would be a perfect cycle if we came back to America and it was still one of the biggest producers, hadn't built up any credit, and was back to where it was right after World War II. We could keep repeating the decades from 1945 to 1970 and build up our credit until that point, then come back around. We're not stuck in a tornado. Our lives have changed for the better, and decisions that seemed small at the time have built up over many years into big choices that have caused huge problems. At some point, your body can't handle any more drugs. The bankruptcy courts think you can't pay your rent and electricity bills because you put too much debt on them. They think they should move in and take what you own. Before you go through the Debt Phoenix event, have a quiet little second hand for cash sale and get rid of everything you own. Then walk in with your mum holding something over for you. That's pretty much where we are now. You've burned, painted, and moved to the corner of the room. The whole room is now red from your blood. You're still painting closer and closer to your feet, and there's only one corner left. Whenever it comes to debt, there is only so much room to move. Like there's only so much cake you and I can eat, and only so much cocaine a crackhead or drug user can snort before they either die from an overdose or do irreversible damage to their body. In terms of money, we're also at that point. That's what the markets show. That's what gold shows. Because of this, we are now on a short fuse to fall apart. It's really that bad, and it will have an effect on everyone, even you. You might have a better chance with the new system if you say, well, I don't have much, and let it all burn down. You have a lot more to lose. Your family will lose things. Your will go down in value. Even if you don't own anything, someone could question your claim to any property you have or your parents' claim to property. You might end up living on the streets like people who are living on the streets. Then there are wild vibes. And then you wait in line, get your shot and get your UBI. You also don't say mean things and shut up when someone talks to you. You are also being watched and listened to. And these are the rules. Then you're in the planned technical oligarchical gulag. And to be honest, I don't think they'll last too long because these are nice people. They are nice people when it comes to how they see other people. Compared to the last few decades, the Federal Reserve doesn't seem to have as much of an effect on the financial markets. More and more market experts are wondering if the Federal Reserve still has the same amount of control over the market as it did in the past. Rate cuts of 3/4 points by the end of the year are priced into the futures market right now, showing that people think the Federal Reserve will try to boost a slowing economy. You need to know something that isn't obvious about the way money works. It's not only unstable, but it's also full of secret risk and fraud that is built on debt. Francis Hunt warns you that the money you put in the bank isn't really yours. They are open to counterparty risk, which means that your assets could be stolen. Governments and banks see you as a risk. Elites like BlackRock and Vanguard are ready to buy assets at lower prices when the economy goes down again. According to studies from the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, investors see gold as a way to protect themselves from bad economic times. Gold is a safe investment that usually does well when interest rates are low and when there is a lot of political and economic uncertainty. At the same time, Francis is telling people to turn vows on paper into real things. The push for digital money isn't just for ease of use. It's about taking away your right to own something and locking you into a rent-based plan controlled by a corporation. We need to go back to the interview. To begin, you need to be able to stay in all kinds of financial systems and build wealth in a world where debt is falling very fast. There is a big chance that bank balances will be lost, counterparty risks on shares that you don't actually own because you don't have the certificates. Another great take on other people's good work in that area, including Mr. Webb's, and all kinds of system failures where they say, hey, we never had it, yes, we did that, and yes, we should have done that. A lot of people are going to be mad. I think they want you to be as safe as possible and not have any weapons. We should have put the heads of leaders and bankers on stakes a long time ago if we were really a warrior group. They should have been punished for crimes that happened in 2008 when they got bailed out and put the cost on the people. But we kept eating it because not enough people knew what was going on. And those who did not have the guts to do anything other than make the NSA, CIA, Skunkworks, Bitcoin and say, we're really mad at the banking cartel. Here is your freedom. It's not centralized at all, which sounds like a fairy story. It's a front-running scam that gets ahead of any story about anyone who thought the banking cartel was a bad bunch that got bailed out at the cost of most people. At some point, you can't hide anything they do because it has big effects. You should know, though, that the system you're in is not fair or equal. So the next time you hear the words racism or any of the other isms that were made, like equity and build back better, know that they are just word salads to make the masses happy while they stick to their totalitarian plan to kill off most of the people and do everything. For this reason, you need to stay safe, leave the West, and keep your money in order. Gold and silver will be very important in this and other ways, but you also need to be able to rely on yourself, because government services will likely be greatly cut back if you can't borrow money, which is why we say our most important call was the end of the 40-year debt bull market in late 2020, and it took 4 years for most of the smartest people to agree with it. At this point, most YouTube commenters don't even know what that means. Everyone says, don't worry, they'll just print again after the next crisis, or someone who says, yeah, but they'll just borrow it, buy it, or make money off of it themselves. They don't understand how debt works. No, an extremely wealthy group of banks was given the amazing chance to borrow your money, and they are now collecting interest payments that are getting ever higher in order to buy or do anything in government that costs your government more than it brings in. Every single one of them does it. That's why I made my point. A synchronized leper community where everyone has the same illness and greets the cheap leper with a kiss. They are all in that state. In the end, they have to keep borrowing money. And the debt instrument is an asset for someone else who is getting the money sources. The government also has a debt because it borrowed the money and has to pay interest on it. Who is paying that interest anyway? The government doesn't make money, though. This thing gets tax money from you. Your life is on the line, and those bankers see you as security. And if there is any coal, I'm sure the land and a lot of other things will be very cheap. During the next crash, BlackRock, Vanguard, and other companies working for legacy families will buy all of your assets for very little money. This could have already begun. The good news is that when there is a debt-based collapse, money still moves and comes across things that are valuable for keeping. Gold is the most valuable object that can be used to keep your wealth safe, and you are seeing that come true right now. That means everyone should stack gold. Everyone should act like they don't have any money. They offer money if you have credits in a bank. The sooner you turn that possible money into real money that you can hold in your hands, the better. Possession is 90/10 of the law. Because of this, they want to bring you a digital banking world so that they can set up middlemen between you and the real things you use. So in the end, they could have a rentier society where nothing is owned and everything is on membership. This would be a fascist subscription model for big companies like Google, which is currently spending $40 million on a campaign to spread Netanyahu's pro-Israeli message around the world, while one tribe is killing 2- and 3-year-old children to get rid of them so that they can steal and take the land from a people who have lived there for 3,000 to 5,000 years. And blood DNA tests show that they are actually the children of Shem, while the Ashkenazi are not. That's where you are. That's where you are. We're all ignoring it because the government, politicians, and journalists aren't setting the agenda there. That means we're in a very bad situation. I'm not going to tell anyone that. Since I don't think I'll be strong enough to live to 95, I don't know how many years I have left. That's how it is. That's fine, though. People like us were born for these times, and we need to get things done. Yes, but you need to make plans. You need to get rich by investing in gold and silver and doing something online, if possible, that you can do in the Matrix. This way you can scale while also creating a second level of life that is remote and offline. And that's going to happen. But it will take a while. We still have some time to live before everyone sees they've been pushed to the bottom of the human hierarchy by a supremacist master race of humans who think they are the master race. That is the first group of crazies. Then they treat you like cattle. You're like an ant farm where they can stand on as many as they want. They think the world has too many people now. Even though BBC World and nature shows are fun to watch because they show wildlife, they are clearly sending the message that there are too many people in the world, and they've always wanted to kill a lot of people. That is, they are naturally murderous, and they would want to try to lower the number of people. So stay away from places where they might need the occasional person. Some predictions say silver prices could go above all-time highs. Experts say now is a great time to buy because premiums on real silver are at all-time lows, even though the price has gone up. The rise in gold prices shows that people are becoming more worried about the long-term security of major reserve currencies, especially the US dollar. To get ready, central banks are stockpiling gold, while regular people are still at risk of systemic risks like banks failing, counterparties not paying, and the coming great taking. Will you take the same steps to protect your wealth as the debt problem gets worse and central banks quietly get ready for a reset, or will you wait until it's too late? Leave a note below with what you think. If you learned something from this video, Please subscribe to our channel and turn on alerts to find out about our new videos. See you in the next movie.